Does anyone else recall when Sandoval was widely revered? Before the scandal, this community was absolutely enamored with the thought of John Mayer, with his pale complexion and his singing in leather or whatever. It makes me ponder where he'd be now if we hadn't discovered the truth the way we did. Also, while watching Secrets Revealed, Jo Bad appeared on screen, and my ears cringe every time she speaks. Back in 2019, when I first joined, there was a lot of admiration for Sandoval and considerable animosity towards Katie. It's fascinating how the tides have turned. Personally, I never cared for Sandoval and always supported Katie, but it's intriguing how perceptions can shift. I believe the current opinions will largely endure, and honestly, I'll admit, I was probably one of those people. I'm embarrassed to say so, but it's true. I entertained the idea of buying Tom's liquor and merchandise, visiting Schwartz and Sandy's, etc. I'll readily eat humble pie. I fell for his facade, mainly because I've always admired Ariana. I could see glimpses of his unpleasantness, like leaving Ariana, who was clearly grieving her father, to hang out with the guys in Vegas, the Stassi book singing deal, his treatment of Katie, the Miami girl incident, etc. But in my mind, I rationalized it with, Ariana's a good person with strong morals and keen judgment, so if she trusts him, why shouldn't I? Clearly, Ariana and I, as a fan, were mistaken about this guy. Sandoval is adept at shaping the narrative, and he's a favorite of the producers, making it easy to buy into the only good guy on the show portrayal. But you're correct, I believe most of us in this community fell for it, and we were way off the mark. I fully acknowledge and accept that I was a Sandoval supporter and a Katie detractor, but my awakening happened during season 9. Seeing how Sandoval treated Katie, and how her husband failed to defend her even once, ignited something within me. That's when I turned against him, and that's when I switched sides to Team Katie. Katie, if you're listening, I will never stop apologizing for not seeing through him sooner, never again. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Spill Chronicles. It's me, Ramona here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. However, observing the Summer House cast unite, even amidst disagreements, in support of Carl and Lindsay, makes me contemplate how Vanderpump Rules could have unfolded differently. While it's not an exact comparison, since there wasn't a clear villain akin to Laurel, if they had all come together, especially as women, it could have been beneficial for the show and for them personally. Despite being a decade younger in some cases, the Summer House crew demonstrated more introspection and self-restraint than everyone on Vanderpump Rules. Unfortunately, the disparity lies in the fact that Lala and Scheana will never be authentic because they lack the ability and the desire to do so. Moreover, many overlook the fact that Scheana and Lala did initially support Ariana when everything unfolded. It remains to be seen how the other girls will treat Lindsay next season. Additionally, we haven't even seen the Summer House reunion yet. People are comparing current seasons without considering the timeline. But didn't everyone rally around Ariana right after the Sandoval incident? Let's see how it unfolds next season. Because Lindsay was portraying herself as the victim, despite some of the girls reminding her that they've had conflicts like this for a while. Don't get me wrong, what Carl did was terrible. He was desperately trying to provoke her so he could justify his actions and say, see, this is what I deal with and why I called it off. Additionally, Sandoval on The Traitors. There's a lot of speculation swirling around about Tim potentially joining The Traitors. What's our take on this? I absolutely adore The Traitors, but I'll boycott season 3 if he's part of it. I'm skeptical of these rumors because he's dealing with 2 separate lawsuits or court appearances, which would likely conflict with filming The Traitors. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that these rumors are unfounded. If the rumors turn out to be true, count me out for this season. While I love The Traitors, I'm perfectly fine with skipping this season and waiting for the next if Sandoval is indeed cast. And speaking of casting choices, was Kristen unavailable or something? If anyone from Vanderpump Rules should be on the show, it's puzzling why they're not fighting to have Kristen on board. She's practically one of Bravo's top detectives and a treasure for reality TV. Also, I don't follow him on Instagram, but a telltale sign would be if he hasn't been posting from LA or with friends recently. Since The Traitors is already in production, whoever is truly cast would likely be in Scotland or wherever they're filming. If he suddenly disappears from Instagram stories, there's a good chance he's actually part of the cast. There were also rumors about him being on House of Villains, which turned out to be false. If he does end up on The Traitors, I hope he gets eliminated first, like Johnny Bananas. He should be the first one eliminated, or better yet, the first murder victim. But knowing the producers, they'll probably portray him as a traitor, which would be infuriating. Hopefully, the other contestants band together and oust him. But if people aren't familiar with Vanderpump Rules, he could manipulate the situation to his advantage. Moreover, we can all agree that the producers played a significant role in the downfall of this season. However, LFU and Scheana can't escape responsibility for their regrettable actions. I wonder, though, how confident they felt about their performances after filming Wrapped. If the producers emphasized that without Ariana and Tom's involvement, there'd be no show, then wouldn't it have been evident that the future of both them and the show was uncertain? These two seemed to genuinely believe they had made waves this season. Lala, with her Durrell shirt sales, and Scheana, with her good as gold resurgence, perhaps thought they'd emerge as the stars of the show. What a sobering realization it must have been for them. They've been striving for main character status since their debut on the show, and this season must have been a humbling lesson. On the other hand, I don't think they care all that much. In this industry, attention is paramount, and they certainly received it. Just a year after Sandoval, the fanbase's attention has shifted to anger towards Lala and Scheana. This is likely the most attention they've ever received on the show. History has shown that being the villain everyone loves to hate has worked out well for Jax and Kristen. In the reality TV game, losing occurs when nobody cares about you. I believe Lala and Scheana were convinced they had a stellar season right up until it started airing, and they began receiving feedback from the audience. I think this realization was a significant reason for their nerves while watching the last few minutes of the show at the reunion. They hoped they could avoid scrutiny. Lala's frustration at the reunion, attempting to rally others to criticize Ariana, was likely an attempt to avoid being singled out. When others didn't join her, she probably realized her public opinion scores were in trouble, prompting her to try to get ahead of it in her podcasts and interviews. On the other hand, watching the last season's reunion prompted me to rewatch the entire show, and it struck me that if you tallied up all of Scheana's screen time, from her scenes and confessionals to the reunions, about 80% of it, if not more, would be her shedding tears. Everything seems to revolve around her "woe is me" attitude. I agree that she has a tendency to make everything about herself, even when it's unrelated to her. However, her default reaction always seems to be tears. There's a distinction between drama and dramatics, and Scheana seems to blur the lines. While drama can make for compelling reality TV, Scheana leans more towards dramatics. For example, remember the early seasons with the likes of unhinged Kristen and Jax? They actively stirred the pot to generate drama, which was entertaining to watch. Scheana, on the other hand, seems to latch onto existing drama, making it about her and then proceeding to cry about it. It's interesting to note that despite being on screen crying 80% of the time, she rarely has a moment where the focus is solely on her. However, Season 3, specifically Episode 17, has stirred up a whirlwind of emotions for me, and I'm surprised I don't see certain discussions happening more often. Jax's behavior is downright disturbing. He exhibits traits of a genuine psychopath. The way he treats people is chilling, and it baffles me why nobody severs ties with him. I understand the entertainment aspect and the boys' camaraderie, but this man seems to derive pleasure from making others miserable and causing as much chaos as possible. It's not just about deflecting heat. I genuinely believe he's a malevolent individual. Then there's Stassi, who comes across as incredibly self-absorbed. I find myself almost agreeing with her at times, only for her to say something completely unhinged, causing me to lose all respect. I've never encountered someone so fixated on themselves. Lisa hit the nail on the head when she said that Stassi doesn't want friends, she wants followers. Now, on to the Ariana, Tom, and Kristen drama, the most distressing aspect of this season. Kristen's behavior is beyond alarming. Her obsession with Ariana and Tom, while she's with James, is utterly bewildering. She seems hell-bent on sabotaging any chance of happiness they might have. While I understand Tom isn't a saint, I've heard about the Sandoval drama from last year. If I were Ariana and Tom, unaware of the future events, I'd seriously consider obtaining a restraining order against Kristen. Kristen's fixation on Sandoval comes across as irrational and unhealthy. Despite not wanting a relationship with him, evident from her infidelity and subsequent moving on, she's determined to crush any potential happiness Tom might find. As for Tom, I sense a shift starting in Season 7 with Tom. Although he began expressing intimacy issues with Ariana as early as Season 6. I won't delve further to avoid spoiling anything. It's worth noting that these episodes originally aired once a week over several years. Binge-watching or rewatching condenses all the drama into a shorter time frame, making it easier to overlook how people behave, especially in the earlier seasons when social media wasn't as prevalent. In hindsight, the Sandoval cheating scandal appears to be the most impactful on the show, surpassing even the Tom or Kristen or Jack's drama. Today, there's a vast digital footprint and active social media landscape for fact-checking and calling out behavior. This wasn't as prevalent in the earlier seasons, or at least not to the same extent. Additionally, Zach Wickham was recently spotted at Tom, sporting some jaw-dropping full-body makeup that any fan of the Valley would recognize. The Bravo makeup looked astonishing, almost hand-painted, and incredibly well executed. As he casually hung out around the restaurant, he was approached multiple times by excited fans. The level of detail in the makeup is truly impressive. I've zoomed in several times and initially thought it was a cartoon edit or perhaps a printed t-shirt. But no, it's the real deal. Kudos to the artist behind it. It's intriguing to consider if his body paint is a callback to those anatomical dresses that were a trend among Bravolebs for a while. In fact, it bears a striking resemblance to Lala's dress from the Hotel Ziggy party. Moreover, imagine if Brock got asked to be on DWTS instead of Scheana. Now that would be hilarious. Would he actually do it? Would he dare? Some speculate he'd jump at the opportunity and even leave Scheana for his dance partner. Broke Brock Mountain would probably bounce in a heartbeat. Speaking of Brock, why does he have father of 3 in his Instagram bio? It's ironic considering he wasn't even allowed to see his other 2 kids. The absurdity reached new heights when he had father of 3 in his bio for the longest time. Quite the dipstick move indeed. Realistically, though, Brock might not be relevant enough for DWTS. None of the VPR cast members are particularly noteworthy, except perhaps Ariana due to the scandal making headlines. But hey, a bit of wishful thinking doesn't hurt, and Scheana would likely fake her happiness, claiming that being the wife of someone on DWTS was actually her lifelong dream all along. After all, that's what she's been saying for 11 years, right? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.